If you've been staring at a Google Maps of Lynchburg trying to make sense of it, then you've probably asked yourself the same question that we all have asked at first. You say, wait a second, how can something so close take that long to get to? You've tapped on maybe a place in Forest and a shop on Wards, and they look like they're supposed to be neighbors, and suddenly the GPS says that will be 22 minutes. Well, welcome to Lynchburg, where the map is flat, but the region is definitely not. Hey, I'm Adam Stinespring. I'm a realtor here in Lynchburg, Virginia, and the surrounding areas. And in this video, we are going to go deeper than we did in the last one. The last one we talked about the kind of three different lifestyles in the regions, but today we're diving into the layout of the region itself, because this way that the land is shaped is going to be the reason that your daily life feels the way that it does. And once you see this clearly, the whole area of Lynchburg, looking on from the outside, stops feeling so jarring and confusing. So let's start with the thing that really controls this whole area, which is the terrain. So Lynchburg doesn't expand nice and neat on a grid pattern. It actually wraps around ridges and drops towards a river and climbs out towards the counties. Think of it less like a city and more like a set of ramps that kind of spiral around the central hub. Every ramp affects pretty much two things, which is your drive time and your lifestyle. And those ramps all feed the same three funnels. And all three routes are the ones that pretty much anyone around here is going to use. So let's break those down. The first funnel is Forest Road, also known as Route 221. This is the connection between Lynchburg, Forest, and Good, and it heads out west towards Bedford. If you picture the typical, move-in ready suburban home, newer builds, maybe some HOAs, cul-de-sacs, this is kind of the Forest Road world. This is where a lot of the higher end homes are going to be. This corridor pretty much pulls people who want the convenience without living smack dab in the middle of the city. The second funnel is Timberlake and Leesville Road. And this is where out-of-towners often get pretty tripped up. Timberlake and Leesville do not connect to Forest. They're actually a completely separate corridor that transfer to a different location. This stretch is actually Campbell County's suburban spine almost. It actually feeds into 460, 501, and even Rustburg and some parts of South Lynchburg. You've got some new constructions, but it's tucked between pockets, lots of pockets of 1960s to 1980s brick ranches. And the moment you turn off the main road, it tends to get a little bit nicer in these pocket neighborhoods. This is what I call the rural, light mode, where it's close to town, but you still get a little bit of space. And the third funnel is Boonesboro Road, which heads northwest out of the city. This one is a totally different personality. Boonesboro itself is honestly its own personality, but this specific corridor winds along the ridge. It passes through Rivermont, then Bedford Hills, and then Peakland, and then eventually you are going up towards Lexington, and boy, is that a drive. It starts with older neighborhoods, and then all of a sudden you are out in the middle of nowhere doing this number. It's a lot. But for that inconvenience, you can actually usually get a little more house for the price. Most of the homes up there are smaller and will have a little bit more land. Again, this is once you get past kind of the Rivermont area. So those are the main funnels. Now let's talk about what these corridors actually lead to, because there's really kind of 7 different archetypes of lifestyles that you'll actually end up with when you move here. The first one is downtown and midtown. So the historic core is really what we would call this. So this is brick streets, there's old architecture, there's a lot smaller lots, but you have walkability and lots of personality. It's close to trails and coffee and events and even restaurants. If you want character and proximity and you love the downtown life, then this is probably going to be your base camp. Area 2, archetype 2, is the Rivermont and Old Forest area. So these are more tree covered and they're a little more established, and lots of mid-century homes, classic 3-bed, 2-baths, ranches, which, sometimes they have a basement, sometimes they don't, but that's kind of what these regions are known for. They are sturdy and they're simple, and quite frankly, they're everywhere. If you want predictable charm and if you love ranch style homes, honestly, there's a lot of pockets of those all around Lynchburg, but specifically this area. The third area is Boonesboro. So this is kind of where scenic meets suburban. So there are kind of lots of hills, mature trees, a mix of older homes and mid-century builds. And there's quick access to the city because you're not too far outside of it. Now, there are some new build complexes going up in this area, but not a ton of them. Area 4 is Forest. So this is kind of Bedford County's suburban anchor. This is a soft landing spot for a lot of relocators from bigger cities because these are newer homes. There's probably maybe some HOAs, there's parks and highly rated school districts and neighborhoods that really were built more from the 90s forward. If you want a familiar suburb and you're from bigger areas, then Forest definitely delivers, but you do pay a premium price. Forest is probably the highest cost on average area, specifically when it comes to homes. Area 5 is kind of the Timberlake and Leesville into the Campbell County area. This is very suburban, but not quite Forest version of suburban. This corridor kind of mixes some newer subdivisions with older ranch style neighborhoods. And the further you get down the road, the more the land will just open up for you. This is where people tend to go when they want to, open up a little bit, but they don't need to go straight into like 50 acres. The sixth area is Madison Heights, which is right across the James River from downtown. And it is full of solid mid-century brick ranches. And honestly, it's probably one of the fastest growing places in Lynchburg, and likely for the convenience is one of the better cost. And because it's in Amherst County, you don't have as, high of taxes. The seventh area is Rustburg, which is towards Appomattox. So this is kind of the next step in the rural gradient, we'll call it. This is where the land tends to stretch out a little bit. So we'll say light rural is like, 10 to 15 minutes from town. And then moderate rural, you'll maybe get, more well and septic and long driveways, maybe a few acres. You're probably going to be at least 15 to 25 minutes down that realm. And then if you really want to get deep, kind of out into the Appomattox County area, and this is even true for Campbell County too. If you start getting 30 to 40 minutes out, then you're going to get a lot more acreage, a lot more privacy, and it's going to be a lot quieter. If you would rather hear owls at night instead of horns beeping through traffic, then this is definitely your area. Now, I'm not showing you all of this just because you're supposed to memorize this geography. I'm showing you this because once you understand the layout, you stop asking the question of like, well, why is this house cheaper than this one? And you start asking, okay, what lifestyle actually comes with this house? Because every single corridor comes with a trade-off. Forest has convenience and higher end houses at the price. Timberlake has a variety and has more space. Boonesboro has, charm and hills and elevation. And then the counties are a lot quieter with a lot more land. And downtown, you get the feel of downtown life and a lot more walkability. None of them are better. They're just different versions of life. So now that you see the region clearly, the next question that everyone ends up running into is, okay, well, what does it actually cost to live here? Because taxes change, utilities change, maintenance changes. Area-specific differences actually add up more than people would expect. So that's what I'm going to cover in the next video, which is right here, is the cost of living breakdown. These will be real numbers with real examples. So click that video next, and I will see you at the closing table.